What's up, guys? Shawnthebro here, and today we are going to be talking about a very fun episode. We're going to be talking about Combat Flow Part 1. So in this episode, we are going to be going over one of the more important mechanics in the game, and I know I say that about a lot of mechanics in the game, but it's actually true. I have basically these giant mechanics that I always think are some of the most important ones when making a game in game development. And so with the fighting game, I think the input window and being able to perform actions and commands based on inputs within a given number of frames and all the rules that come with that is an important one. And we've accomplished that. There's still more we have to adjust and add to it, but we have the base down and I'm satisfied with it. Now, something we need to get down is the combat flow. So right now I have some random hit stun values, so you can see some of the attacks happen to be super slow, super fast, whatever. But there's issues with our combat system. Yes, we can hit and cause a hit reaction based on the the height of the hitbox, or the power of the hitbox, or if the hitbox has launch. We can even bounce them off of walls, and all this stuff is good. But we need to get down to a more core mechanic that we actually have not covered yet. So if I hit my opponent, yes, he goes into his hit reaction. However, what if we hit each other at the same time, or near the same time? Now, you see how both players were performing their punch, okay? That's a little hard because the giant claw clips through the other character to see at the moment. But both characters were performing their attack slightly offset. And when player 2 received the hit first, they did not cancel out of their attack to go into a hit reaction. They continued. And then when both players were done with their attack animation, they went into the stun state because they received damage. And this is something we're going to need to fix. We want it to be very reactive to what's going on in the game. So it makes a difference. If one character hits before the other, then we want to make sure that logic is represented to the players and to us as the developer, so we know that our logic is working correctly. We also want to make sure we have certain things that take priority over other things. So if two attacks collide at the same time, we do want to actually be able to cancel them out in some cases. Projectiles should be able to collide with each other. All these things, they're all kind of different mechanics, but they all relate back to combat flow. So I'm calling this little mini series within our fighting game series here Combat Flow. This is episode 1, and in episode 1 we're basically just going to set up the combo state enum value and the minor system adjustments that we need to make that work. So we're not going to be showing off anything crazy new today. We are going to be getting our enum values separated, our states prepared and ready, and implementing them within our system. Then in the next episode, we can go farther into, say, priority over these moves, or if you're in this state, go to this state when you receive a hit, different things like that. So that's what we're going to be covering today. And if you're new to the series, or you just want to check out Combat Flow, you may want to catch up on different things that we've done throughout the series, because we are pretty far along at this point. I think we're at episode 83 or 84 at the moment, so we're getting up there. We still have many things to do, but I will leave a link right here to the iCard of the fighting game playlist if you want to catch up to all the episodes we've done. All right. So let's get started. As I said, today is mainly going to be just making our combo state enum, which is going to be actually pretty simple. It's going to be changing essentially what we already have in the character state and making it its own enum state. Now let me explain why this is important. So before, and if you watch the series, you'll have this, we had this character state enum, and it had all of these values in it, outside of this none here. And this default had the name of not moving. So I adjusted the display name and I've added this state. However, every other state you see within these two enums, you should be familiar with, and it should have all been in the character state enum. Now, there's nothing actually wrong with that currently, but we're going to have issues with this when we're trying to factor in all the things the player's trying to do with what kind of combo state they're in and where they can go from there. So essentially think of it like this. if we want our character to only be able to be ground bounced after they're already in a stun state or something like that, then we need to make sure they're in that combo state. However, and we ran into this issue when trying to crouch and perform other actions because we had the crouch initially in the character state Enum. If we have too many things and the Enum can only hold one value, then we're going to run into an issue where our character cannot properly go to all the states that they are able to go to because of one or more conditions. So we need to have this E-combo state completely separate. I mean, it is a fighting game, so the majority of the time the characters are going to be being hit or thrown or smacked around in some way, and we kind of want the combo state to be unique at all times. There's also different things that come along with this. Like, yes, these are all the states we have now, but also keep in mind that the combo state itself, you know, you could get super armor, you could have invincibility to certain things like throw invincibility or just actual invincibility if that's part of your character's design. You can have all these other things we can add, but we still need to be able to do the essentials as the character. The character still needs to be able to move right, move left. I have running in here, although we don't technically have it yet. Jumping, all these different things that we can already do. We need the ability for the player to still be able to perform them alongside some of these other states. Now, with that said, the combo state is mainly going to be used for when, you know, actions are being dealt to this player, to this character. So, you know, I'm not saying you can just, you'll be stunned and you can still walk around. That's not the case. We still want all those rules that we put into place throughout the series to be there. But we need to think about how we're going to implement them. Sometimes the character, you know, if we're thinking far ahead here, sometimes the character will be able to need to recover from a certain state, say like a quick get up. And we have like the forced get up function, and we can actually do that. But say we want to do that, and we want to do that off of certain attacks, or we want we want either some sort of recovery or some sort of parry, and all these things that could come along with combining a character state and a combo state. So let's separate all the combat logic to go into this combo state Enum. And again, we will be adding more as the series goes on. We might even take away a few if we don't find out that they are necessary. But for now, to avoid confusion and also so I can make sure that I have all the right states prepared and all the transitions can work together perfectly, let's stick with what we already have. So, in our character state, you can see these values that we have now. We have default, moving, running, jumping, and blocking. We also have the combo state Enum now, which has none, which essentially means, you know, they are not in any sort of other state. They are themselves, basically, they're probably moving around, performing attacks themselves, whatever. And then we have all of the things that we had before that dealt with taking damage or, you know, being launched. So we have the stuns, low, mid, and high, depending on the height, which essentially causes our hit reactions to occur. Our wall bounce, which basically means we have the ability to be bounced and we've collided with a wall object. So we are now going to perform our bounce. Same with ground bounce, except we are able to be bounced from the ground. Launch is just anytime you're thrown up in the air, like from an uppercut. Knockdown is when you return from being wall bounced or from, you know, certain other states, like if you're launched. And then recovery for now is mainly just being used for when you're recovering from being knocked down. So I'm just reiterating the states that we have. And let's go and make sure that we make a new enum for this value. Scroll down to your variables and find your E character state variable. You can go ahead and copy this whole thing, paste it here. Just make sure you change the enum value to E combo state. And I just called it combo state. Again, today is supposed to be very simple. We're going to make some changes to our code. And, you know, we're going to kind of leave it at that because next combo flow episode, We're going to be using all these states, and we're going to determine where we can go from each state. This will stop a lot of the issues with being able to only go from one state to another if you're in a certain state, when we really need to be able to be stunned and hit out of any state or go to dead from any state. We should not have to return to idle first to do that. And we can actually use this method of this combo state to accomplish these things. Alright, so once you've added those, we do have to change quite a few things in our fighter template character. You're probably going to have close to 100 errors, and I get that is a little bit intimidating, but I will be here. I'm going to walk through the whole thing with you. If you strayed from the tutorial series, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I intentionally kept it simple this episode. I know this is a bit of an inconvenience, but it's something that I think we need to do. I don't see any real way around it with the way I envision the combat system. So let's go through it one step at a time. First of all, character state in the constructor is still default. However, the combo state I've set to be none. Right now we're not in a combo. We just started, we just spawned, so that's our default value. Now, basically just go down through your functions and look where errors are. If you don't know how to, sometimes Visual Studio doesn't show you errors properly, or if you don't know how to recognize where the errors are at, you can go to build solution, or press F7 in my case, whatever the hotkey is for that for you. And you can look at where all the errors are in the error list. It'll pop up down here. Double click on it and it will bring you to where the errors are. So it'll bring you to a line like this one. And since this was the first one in my code, I commented out the top line to show you what it looked like in the past and what it looks like now. This is going to make the code much, much cleaner. So I understand that it's a bit annoying that we have to change this, but I think it's going to be really, really good in the end. So the reason you will have errors from this change is because we have removed enum values from the character state. And the character state was using those values in this class, the fighter template character, to determine what other actions we could perform. For example, we couldn't perform the jump only if we could move, we weren't crouching, and we weren't all these character states. Okay, you see that I have this commented out. So this is how long this line was, and I'm not kidding. We couldn't jump if we were not in ground bounce, if we were not in wall bounce, if we were not in recovery, if we were not in knockdown, if we were not in launched, if we were not in stunned high, stunned mid, or stunned low. And we were doing that all over the place. So you can see how we had like 6, 7 errors right there, maybe more even. Well, let's fix that up. Instead, change that line to just if can move and not crouching, and combo state equals e combo state e none. So basically, we can jump at any point, regardless of our character state, as long as our combo state is not equal to anything else. Basically, as long as it's equal to none, because if we are being attacked currently or launched currently, we probably don't want to be able to jump. And this can change per character. Maybe you want to be able to do a jump recovery, like double jump to get out of a combo or something. So don't think too far into it. Now, we're not restricting any of that logic. This is the logic we have based off what we set up prior. So, again, don't stress over all these errors. It doesn't matter. I like to give the tutorial where I show you every line and everything I've changed, but as we get farther and farther into the series, our games are going to separate more and more from the tutorial. And so I don't want to confuse you. Just let's think about it logically. I'm going to try and explain everything from here on out logically so you guys understand what I mean to do. That way I'm not directing, but rather guiding. It was my intention to do that from the beginning, and I think there are ways I could have done it better. So that's why I'm going to try and implement some of these things so that we can grow. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this comment above because I don't need it. But you can see this is how my jump function looks now. The if statement has shrunken all the way down to here. It has shrank all the way down to here. And anywhere that has character state where a character state still is needed, like for moving left, moving right, of course we're going to leave that character state. However, I also had an else if in the jump, else if I was checking to see if the character state was equal knockdown, and then setting the character state to be recovery. you can see how this works now, where we have the combo state being set to E combo state knockdown, combo state equals E combo state recovery. So again, just make all these changes. If you have errors, don't worry. If it doesn't build, you probably have another error somewhere that you haven't replaced. There's quite a few places we use this. So I did not use anything for stop jumping, but for landed, I was using character state, and then else if the character did not land from a jump, that means they were probably landing from a launch, a wall bounce, or a ground bounce. And if they were, we were setting the character state to be knocked down. Otherwise, if they should ground bounce, we were setting it to be ground bounced again. And so with all of that logic, you guys know what to do by now. Instead of using character state to check these, make sure you use the combo state and check against the E combo state enum. And this should be pretty self-explanatory from here on out. I will go through the entire thing quickly at this point, but I think you understand. For crouching, I removed all the checks I was doing and just did can move, combo state equals E none. For stop crouching, I just have combo state equals E none. Start blocking, combo state is equal to none, and you can move. Stop blocking, same thing. Move right is essentially the same as it was, but again, this if statement that I have here was much longer. It had all those things: character state not recovery, not knocked down, not wall bounce, all that junk. Now we just get to make it nice and clean. If character state's not blocking, combo state is equal to none. We're not crouching, and we can move right. Much cleaner. Then move right controller is the same thing. Okay, for all the attacks, I wasn't allowing attacks to occur if we were in any of those actions. So again, if we were stunned, wall bounce, ground bounce, you see how tiring it is? That's why this is so much of a better method already, let alone the things we can do with it in future episodes. So I wasn't allowing us to attack if we had any of those character states. So instead, now I just make sure we're not blocking when we go to do this, and our combo state is equal to none. So essentially, we're not being attacked or stunned in any way. Same for all 4 attacks we have. Same with the exceptional attack logic that we have. Okay, I'll go by this logic. This is all character state stuff. You can always slow this down and look at exactly what I have if you'd like. Okay, intake damage, it's slightly different from the standard stuff just because we have this hitbox height and we were using the height that comes in as a parameter to take damage. And we were using that to set the stun type. Well, now the stun type is in the combo state. So in the switch statement we have, you can use the combo state instead of character state and set it to the correct stun state. Same thing here with being launched. Okay. Now, there is one thing we have to add. All these things have been changes. We do have to add something to end stun because we added a new state. We added the combo state E none. We did have the default character state before, but that's not enough now. We have to make sure we're using both the combo state and the character state in times where we need them. So, for the combo state, when a stun ends, we need to set the combo state back to E none. This is just to set it back to default once this stuff ends. Okay, and now we do have this long statement still for this end stun. If it's not equal to launched, if it's not equal to knockdown, if it's not equal to recovery, if it's not equal to wall bounce, if it's not equal to ground bounce. We already had that before in end stun. We are not going to be changing this one out. So think about what end stun is used for. Throughout the series, we call begin stun when the character takes damage in the take damage function if the stun time is greater than 0. Now, if they were blocking, it actually triggers a block stun as opposed to a hit stun. And if they're not blocking, then it's just your regular hit stun. And so we want to make sure that the character is not in any of these states before we reset them, because that means they could still be part of a combo. So we don't want to give them full functionality back of their character until that combo is either completed or technically, since they've recovered within their animation, which we have not gotten into that stuff yet. That's also part of combat logic and combat logic, combat flow, and we have not gotten to that yet. So before we get to that, basically we're trying to avoid the other player from regaining full control if they're not in the regular stun states. This is all covered in the other episodes. This is not something new, but you do have to change it from character state to combo state, and this is what's new. Make sure you do reset combo state back to none in this instance. Okay. There very well may be other times you want to reset it to none. I'm doing a huge pass right now. Literally, it has taken me about 40 minutes so far, and I'm probably about halfway done for all the states that we have in the state machine to flip over to the combat system with the combo state. So, we may want to update this in the next episode, say, oh, you can go to combo state none from this case. But again, don't worry. I'll be covering it all. When we get closer to the end, just like I did with the input system, I will cover the entire system as a whole for how I have it. For now, this is how I have it. And again, I'm going through this whole class so you can change anything that you see and use anything that you see in here. So if you don't like anything that I have, feel free to change it, and feel free to use anything if you feel it's necessary. Okay, toward the end here, this is on tick. This is the last function I have in this class. I have the character state is not jumping if they're going to flip, and the combo state is not wall bounce. If our character is bouncing off the wall, then I do not want them to flip in the air, which is why I've added this logic. Again, already existed, but make sure you change it to combo state. And that's the entire file. So I know that's a lot of changes, and it took me about probably a good 5-10 minutes to replace them all. You could do a find and replace, but I wanted to make sure that I was replacing it in the right spot for all of them. So feel free to go through all that and change them on your own. Change whatever ones you need. And feel free to ask me any questions in the Discord community if you run into trouble or if you want to know why I'm doing this switch. But now, our Enum is caught up in the code. We do have to change a few in the Enum BP. It's not so bad. Not as bad as this, that's for sure. We mainly have to change the stuns, the launch, and the bounces. So once you're ready and you hit build solution and it actually builds because all your errors are gone and you replaced all the enums properly, then you can load up the project again. And we have to fix a few things. We'll have to fix stuff in the Enum BP, and we'll have to fix the wall bounce stuff that we did with the camera edges. Okay, so when you compile in here, when you try and compile your Enum BP, I have a warning because I've disabled one of my transitions, so it says it will never be taken. But you can see I don't have any errors. When you compile in here, you are going to get quite a few errors. Not honestly that many, but quite a few. Again, mainly for your knockdowns, your hit reactions, all this stuff. Another adjustment I made is actually replace the hit reactions and put them into one state. Like this, which I will show you toward the end of this episode. It's something I'm going to cover next episode. I had to put it in now to make sure that this system would work. Sometimes I have to try out some things before I show them off because I don't want to teach you guys something like bring us down a road and then it doesn't work. So don't worry that this is a little bit different. I will show you just so you can take it now if you want, but we'll go over this specifically in more depth on part 2. All right, so the errors that you get are going to be, like I said, they're all the basic ones. So if you are using this system still, it'll be all these ones. It'll be all these shared transition rules for high hit reaction, mid hit reaction, and low hit reaction. Because if you see, it's checking character state equals, and it doesn't have the enum value anymore. So if it has a problem with that, just drag off your character reference, get the combo state, and then you can do equal off that, equal enum, And then you can pick the right type. So in this case, this is the high hit reaction. So we want stunned high, and we want to bring that into the result. Okay. So again, I will show you what I've done for all of these. Combo state equals mid, low, mid, high, low. And these are shared rules, so once you change one of them once, they should all change. However, even with me showing you, the easiest way for you to do this is not just copying what I have, because our states could be very different. Just keep compiling. You'll get errors, don't worry. They're completely normal. And just go through one at a time. You can either click on the error, it will bring you to it. Like this is just a warning, but you can see I can click on these and enter this state, right? So click on all your errors, go to them one by one. We have the launched shared rule. Well, instead of character state, we want combo state. Guess what other shared rules we have? We have the launch. That was the launch from ground. This is launched while in the air. You can see we had all these rules where we had character state equal any of these, we want to be launched. This was basically if we were being hit out of the air, we would be launched. However, these all belong to combo state now. It's the same thing, so I don't mean to keep repeating myself. I am trying to show you everything that I did change, but ground bounce should ground bounce, so that one's actually okay. Wall bounce will need it. Here is the knockdown logic. Wall bounce to knockdown and ground bounce to the knockdown. And technically these are the knockdown idle, which is reasons we explained in those episodes. But you can see the knockdown shared rule is that. And you know that'll essentially be it. You may have a few others like the crouch hit reaction. If you have the hit reactions in here from the character state, just make sure you use the combo state. And there you go. There's more that you may want to change or may need to change depending on what you've done. Like, see, recovery from knockdown, shared rule again. But it's basically all this stuff where it's taking damage, the player taking damage. So I'm in the process of cleaning this up in a different copy. I didn't want to move everything around because I thought that would be very confusing. But I made a copy of this and I'm trying to make it cleaner for you guys so it's not as ugly. Okay, cool. So eventually, once you get through all these, and it really shouldn't cause any issues with your logic because it's just changing the Enum values. We're still setting them the same in code now and all this other stuff. So it just, you know, it might be a little bit different to grasp at first, but I promise next episode you're going to see how important it is that we make this adjustment. All right. So once you have all these done, you may have a few issues in your event graph still. Specifically, you'll have the end stun animation and the return to idle stun. These are both things that have to do with returning from hit reactions. Now, with our new combo state system that we are going to use, we actually don't need this anymore. Remember I said that I changed this hit reaction state? We had 3 hit reaction states before. We were going between them and we could loop the animation. Well, that was good. And it worked, but it's really messy. It's hard to kind of tell what's going on. It's hard to adjust that logic as we want it. So what I've done instead is I have one hit reaction state. I'll show you what's still here when I click on it. End stun animation. It's still always set to always reset on entry. The way we get to this state from idle is if our combo state is equal to stun, low, mid, or high, we can go into the hit reaction state. So basically, if we enter the stun state from any hitbox height, we go into it. And then in the hit reaction state, it's a little bit different. Again, something we'll cover more next episode, but you can feel free to put it in now if you want. Now, instead of just playing the correct animation, like before we were grabbing the character reference, getting the stun time, and putting it into the hit reaction, the correct hit reaction for the corresponding state, we are now using the hit reaction state to use all of these, to encompass all the hit reactions. This is very clean. So what we're able to do is have this node called blend poses. And you can, when you right click and look for this, you can blend poses by these different things. Bool, integer, or you can actually look up a specific enum. Any enum that is blueprint type will be able to grab this. Okay, and then we're grabbing our combo state as opposed to our character state and dragging that into the active enum value right here. Then you can also, if you click on this node to start, I take off the blend time. You don't technically have to do that, but I don't need it as a pin, so I just do that to clean it up. And then you can right click on the node and add pins for each of these elements. I've added one for stun low, stun mid, and stun high. You can add one for no combo state as well if you'd like. This hit reaction, it automatically does have a default pose. So I don't think you can get rid of that one. I've never been able to. You might be able to, though. And then I just plug in each animation into it. You can only plug in one animation to one spot. So like if I plug it in here, it takes it out of this one. So you do need to have an animation for each. You can also get rid of the pose by right-clicking on it and then selecting that. So anyway, long story short, this is how we can actually determine, we can put multiple animations, multiple poses in one single anim state in the state machine. And we don't need like 3 different states for low, mid, and high. Now, this change stops us from being able to re-enter the same hit reaction. So if I hit a light attack and he goes into the mid hit reaction pose, he cannot re-enter that if I hit him again. It does not cancel. However, this is going to also be solved by our combo state logic. The combo state is going to make our life so much easier, even though I know right now it is a bit of an inconvenience to adjust. So the reason I've done this is because I'm trying to clean up the state machine and I want to use the combo state variable. If the less rules we have in our game to transition between animations, to transition between states, is going to make it have much less, many less bugs, and it's also going to make it easier for us to develop and for players to pick it up. So I'm going to eliminate all these other booleans and cases that we have. We're going to use this combo state for a lot of stuff. So for now, this is why I'm doing it this way. And if anyone's really looking at it, I'm using the play rate now as opposed to a play rate basis. You can click this to expose the node. Or unclick it to get rid of it. I'm actually doing stun time 1 divided by that. The reason I'm doing 1 divided by, and I know that I always say you shouldn't do division when you can, but we're actually getting a ratio here. If the stun time is 3 seconds, we want to do 1 divided by 3 to determine how long this animation should play for, or basically the rate it should play at. And this is going to come in handy later because when we convert things to frames and all this other stuff, we're going to need to make sure this is playing at the right rate, and we'll come back to it next episode. All right, but now that's everything done here. However, if you are using this method, you can see that I've disconnected the end stun animation and returned to idle from stun anim notifies. You can get rid of them entirely if you'd like. We don't actually need them. For example, you can see the character state actually has recovery, which it shouldn't. So that's how long it's been since I've touched it. I haven't touched it since. So I'm going to delete these entirely to avoid confusion. Okay, we don't need them. We don't need them with our new system. But we do have to change a few more things in here in our graph to make sure that our combo state stuff is working. So we do have start stun low, start stun mid, start stun high. These are anim notifies. You can see they are not on our current hit reaction if you're using this state now. So I'm going to get rid of everything we don't need. You saw I got rid of the return to idle stun. I'm going to get rid of start stun mid. I'm going to get rid of end stun animation on the hit reaction. And so look how much cleaner this is. Idle to hit reaction. We have basically if the combo state is equal to any of the stuns, go into the hit reaction. No extra rules. Nothing else we have to worry about, or we have to try and solve calculus to figure out if it's going to go to the state. Then we go into the state. It picks the correct animation based on this value. So if it's a low, mid, or high, and you can see I'm using low, mid, or high animations. This is my high hit reaction, low hit reaction, mid hit reaction. I don't even have any anim notifies on any of those animations. There's nothing hidden here. It's going to the output pose. Then, on the hit reaction itself, there's nothing here. Always reset on entry. I'm going to leave for now because we will want to be able to go into this state again. So I will leave that one checked. But you see I've taken everything else. Then we had two animations, or two transitions in the past to try and make this system work. We had one that was just based off of if it was the same state. Basically, if you were already in, like, say you were stunned mid, and you got hit by a mid attack again, then we decided, oh, we have to return to idle to bring you to the new state. You see how ugly this is? It just gets out of hand quickly. It's hard to even grasp. So instead of having that one, okay, instead of having this one now, you can just go through, say hit reaction, see ya, and now we only have one transition back from hit reaction to idle. We have hit reaction to idle, and there's nothing on this, no transition events. Again, we're making this as simple as we can. Cleaning this up, everything's looking better. The only rule to go from hit reaction to idle, you can see I had this before, gone. We don't need that. We don't need automatic rule based in this case. All we're checking, cut and dry, if we're trying to return from hit reaction to idle, our combo state should be no combo state, or none. If that's the case, we return to idle. And look how much cleaner that is for the hit reactions. And when I play that, you will see that everything works for this. The only issue is that we can't re-enter the state. However, again, that will be addressed next time around. There's a very neat way we can do it now that we have a combo state variable separate. So you can see I can hit my opponent and they go into the right state using the correct hit stun times. And they can go between all three of them. Okay? So now we have our hit stuns working outside of that, looping hit stun or looping hit reaction. And we've made it one node with literally no transition events. Nothing on the state itself except for this. And no multi-transitions, nothing confusing. Just a regular old two transition rule. Idle to there, back to idle. Okay? So we've cleaned that up. It looks much nicer now. You can get rid of these. When we were using this hit reaction system in the past, we actually had multiple hit reactions. Remember, we had multiple transitions like we just removed, and that's where they were being applied to. So for now, or now with our new changes, bye. We get rid of more stuff in our Enum BP, which is good. The less we have in here, the better, just because it's clear for us to read. Obviously, we're going to have a lot in here, so don't go just deleting random things. What we have in here is good, but anytime we can make a fix like that, and it makes our lives easier and makes the logic less complicated. Okay, the last thing we need in the Enum BP is the force get up logic. Now this logic is actually good, I like it, but we need to change it from a combo or a character state to a combo state. Basically, the force get up is if you're on the ground for a specified amount of time after a knockdown, you will automatically get up after 3 seconds in this case. However, we also added the ability to force the get up by forcing the state to recovery if the player pressed the up or jump key, whatever you want to call it, while they were knocked down. So before we were setting them to recovery, which is no longer part of character state, part of combo state. So you can delete the node here, drag off of character reference and say set combo state. And then you can change it to be recovery. All right, and that's what we've done right here. If you have any other issues, it's most likely related to different things that were added regarding those states. So feel free to just change them, compile. If it fails, click on it, go to where it's at, fix it up, all that good stuff. Once you have the green check, or if you have the yellow exclamation mark and it's because of like transitions you're not using, whatever, that's fine. You can leave those just as long as it's not failing. As long as this is compiling, you're good to go. And then let's make our final adjustments that we have to make. So we have a default camera, and the default camera, I have it set to only, do certain things based on certain conditions. So for example, if the character is not equal to launched, then I was doing these different things with the inner boundaries, moving them and other things like that. And this is something we determined during the camera episode, so I won't get deep into this. But we were using both player 1 ref and player 2 ref. So player 1 ref here and here, and player 2 ref here and here. All 4 of those spots, we check to see if the character state is not equal to launched. But we don't want that. Remember, we want the combo state now. So you can drag off these references, type combo state, get it. And then check not equal enum and click launched. And then bring that into the branches. Okay. So that's how to fix the default camera errors if you get those. We also need to fix up our camera edges as well, because that's how we are handling our bouncing, our wall bouncing. So we go to our camera edge. We were checking to see if the character collided with the camera edge and they were in the launch state. And if they were, launch them and set them equal to the wall bounce state. Well, you can probably guess what's going to happen here. Instead of checking for the character state equal launch, we're going to check combo state is equal to launched. Then, where we're setting the character state to be equal to wall bounce, we're going to be setting the combo state equal to wall bounced. Okay? And then once you have all the things I've shown compiling, again, you may have some of your own stuff that you've worked on. That's fine. Once you have everything compiling, make sure you go here and play the game. And it should run. If it tells you there are errors in the blueprint, make sure you click on that blueprint or open it up after and see what the errors are. It is almost definitely related to these unless you had them from before. And if you have any issues with how to implement this change, or something, you did something for your project that is related to these states and you want to know how you can mimic what I've done here, feel free to send me a message on Discord or just comment on the video. I'll be happy to help you out. But there you go. And so now, I know it doesn't seem like we got a lot done, but we cleaned up our state machine quite a bit. Quite a bit. I'm going to delete these hit reactions. We don't need them anymore. Boom. Now look at our state machine go. It is much cleaner, and I can't wait to see how much better we can make it look than this, and how we can use this combo state enum. I've got a lot of ideas, and I've been writing a lot down. I've been paying attention to everything you guys have been saying, and I've been watching and playing a lot of fighting games to get a feeling of how the combat should work. One thing we can actually do with this is if we load the game and spawn in as our characters, we can actually go to the character that we want to check the current state of. In this case, we'll check player 2. Scroll down to our character details section, and you can see we now have the character state, combo state, character class. So specifically, we can now see when things change for both the character state and the combo state. For now, since we basically just updated and added this new enum, there's not going to be a whole lot of differences that you couldn't see in the past. However, the combo state is going to be really, really useful for us to watch in the future episodes of Combat Flow and everything we're going to be doing with combos and combat. So as I hit my opponent, you can see it goes to the proper combo state and resets. So in the next episode, we are going to be going over, I think the most important thing, even if it is one of the simplest ones, is canceling your animation if you get hit and going directly to the stun. In the animation, we will also fix up the looping. So if you get hit by a light attack, mid-attack, whatever, and you go into the mid-hit reaction, and you get hit again while you're in that hit reaction, we want it to go back into that state. So we'll fix that up. We'll make that work again using this new system. And then we will also cancel out of whatever thing you're in and go to this hit reaction. That way, that will make the game feel at least responsive, even if it doesn't seem all that important. When you actually play it, it feels very clunky if you don't have that. So yeah, that's what we will do, and that's where we will proceed. Well, I expect the combat logic to be 5 to 7 episodes, depending on how much we can blow through in each episode. So get ready for all of that. And anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. So thank you so much for watching. If this helped you and you're excited about what we can do with combo states, then please subscribe. It does more for me and the series and the entire channel than anything else you can do, and I just really appreciate it. It's completely free. I do want to give a huge shout out to all my YouTube membership and Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. I am so grateful for that, and I really hope you guys are enjoying the series. And again, cannot wait to show you where we can go with it. As I mentioned a few times in the episodes, if you guys had any issues with this episode or any of my tutorial series, feel free to join the Discord community, and I'll be happy to help you out. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.